Now let me start the session today. So I'm starting with the music, dance, drama today. All right, and then I'm sending you directly the PPT. All right. So this is going to be our next major chapter. In fact, second last chapter in art and culture: music, dance, and drama. Now, music, dance, and drama, we have to understand largely from the perspective of factual informations. I mean, that's what actually I would tell you that from this particular segment, the questions have largely been asked in prelims examination. All right, in mains, anyhow, the scope of asking the questions from music, dance, drama is very less. All right, of course, they had asked you about the significance of the Lord Nataraj, the significance of Lord Nataraj dancing form. That question was asked in 2013 mains examination. Fine. So that was one question asked. After that, there has not been much questions asked from this particular segment. But in prelims, yes, you have all the scope to ask you questions from this particular area. Fine. So let us start this music, dance, drama. See, what we're going to do, we are going to first and foremost, discuss about the music aspect, then we'll move to the dances, and then we'll move to the drama. Now, one thing you have to take into account that why these three things are basically discussed together. The reason being that in any drama, of course, you have to have some music, you have to have some dance form. All right, for any dance, you need to have some music. All right. So idea is these particular art forms are highly associated. They are highly interlinked. Fine. So a dance without music again becomes meaningless in that way. Similarly, if you have a music, automatically the dance also becomes a part of that particular culture of music. So idea is it is basically the highly interrelated emotion of a human being, which are depicted in the form of performing arts. That is how we are going to discuss this particular segment individually. First music, then dance, then drama. Fine. See, music system. Now, the existence of the music system in India has been traced right from the early uh, historic period. In fact, now we have found many of the paintings of the early historic period where we have found the existence of some kind of music, some kind of dance, some kind of drama also. Fine. For example, I tell you one very small example to make you understand clearly. Say Samved. Now, Samved is one of the earliest of the text written in the Vedic period, and this textbook is completely upon music. All right, the Samved is completely upon music. So obviously, the earliest of the evidence regarding the music in India happened to be from Samved only. However, by the time of, let's say, the Maurya and post-Maurya period, we see the emergence of a book called Natya Shastra. Now, Natya Shastra is the magnum opus. It is the most important book as far as the music, dance, drama in India is concerned. Natya Shastra is not only a book upon, let's say, music, rather it is also a book upon even dance. So Natya Shastra is the perfect example, perfect book that is available from the ancient time to the modern era that talks about all the three forms of performing art together in only one book that is called as Natya Shastra. So Natya Shastra was written by Bharat Muni in this period, 200 BC to 200 AD. Between this period only, this book must have been compiled. So that gives us the information regarding various kind of instruments, various kinds of music also in our country. However, music today that we understand in the context of the two schools of music that actually has evolved in India, in the northern part of India and the southern part of India. Now, in the northern part of India, the music that actually has developed, it is called as Hindustani music. Now, this is a particular impact of the composite culture in India. The development of Hindustani music, it took place in the early medieval time. It took place when Arabic or Persian influence increased in India, especially North India, and out of that, the so-called Hindustani music evolved in India. See, the government of India recognizes two main schools of classical music in our country. One is the Hindustani, another one is the Carnatic. Now, the Hindustani that is largely sung, largely, of course, used as a music, it is done in the northern part of India. And this Hindustani has evolved due to the impact of the Arabic and the Persian culture that came into the contact of the then Indian culture or the culture of India at that particular point of time. So out of which we see the emergence of Hindustani music. So therefore, in the Hindustani music, we have various kind of trends, various kind of, you can say, traditions as well. For example, you can understand that when Sufi also entered, when Sufism also entered, I told you that in Sufism, there used to be a very fundamental practice the Sufi saints used to always follow. And that is called as Sama. Sama. Sama means music. Now, if you go to any of the Sufi saint dargah or mausoleum in India, all right, you will find in the evening, every evening, you will find that there is some kind of Sama being organized on the dargah or mausoleum of the Sufi saints even today. For example, if you go to Nizamuddin Aulia's dargah in New Delhi or Chirag Delvi's dargah in New Delhi, in every evening, you will find there that people have assembled over there, and still there are musicians, there are singers who have assembled there, and they are still singing the Sufi songs over there. So the idea is Sufi saints also contributed to a larger extent in terms of the evolution of Hindustani music. So therefore, Hindustani music is actually a combination of various cultures that came into the contact of Hindustan or India, and finally it became a part of the composite culture. The best example of composite culture in India is actually Hindustani music only. All right, because it actually has the influence from not only the Indian local culture, but also from the Persian and Arabic together. Fine, that is Hindustani music. On the other hand, the Carnatic music, it actually developed in southern part of India. And in the development of Carnatic music, there are a few very important observations for all of you. And that is, the Carnatic music is completely indigenous in its origin. Carnatic music has no foreign influence as such. Fine. Secondly, Carnatic music evolved in the southern states of India, right from Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh. And all this music sung in those regions are called as Carnatic music only. Thirdly, the Carnatic music evolved during the time of the Britishers period. It evolved during time of Britishers period when Britishers were controlling the affairs in the northern India. Of course, the Mughal empire started declining. Now, at that particular point of time, of course, the Carnatic as a region in southern part of India, Carnatic was a part of Tamil Nadu and the region of Karnataka towards the south. That area used to be called as Carnatic. So in this particular pocket, many of the local musicians, they actually took the shelter of the local chieftains. And there only the music system that is called as Carnatic has developed. Now, in Hindustani music system that developed in North India, there's always a concept of gharanas and sampradayas. Gharanas are basically the schools which provide the training in the music. So in this system, there was always a teacher who used to head the gharanas, and the disciples who used to be the part of sampradayas, who used to go and learn a kind of music in these gharanas. So that was the concept of gharana and sampradayas, teachers to disciples relationship, that actually developed, or in fact it got evolved in the music system of India. Now I'm sharing you the next slide that is actually will distinguish between the Hindustani and classical music clearly. Now you can see on the screen, and here you can find that what are the differences of Hindustani and Carnatic style. Now these differences are important. This question might be asked you in your mains also. They differentiate between Hindustani and Carnatic music style in India. So first difference is absolutely Hindustani music is quite old, because it can be simply traced right from the era of Vedic period. Fine. On the other hand, Carnatic music is of recent origin. Second, Hindustani style was definitely having the outside influence. Carnatic music was completely of indigenous origin. Third, in Hindustani music, there is a freedom to artist to, of course, use a raga. Raga can be elaborated. Fine. So Sare Gama, Pa, this particular raga can be elongated, elaborated. This freedom is less in the Carnatic style. Fine. Fourthly, in Hindustani music, there is a concept of gharana and sampradayas. The such kind of system was missing out in Carnatic system. All right. So gharana and sampradayas concept was more in the Hindustani music. It was missing out there in the Carnatic music. And you may have seen a movie of Salman Khan. कौन सी मूवी थी? मूवी देखते कि नहीं देखते हैं आप लोग? नहीं यार, मूवी देखना चाहिए। म्यूजिक से आप बहुत कुछ। हाँ,
हम दिल दे चुके सनम।
अमृतांशु कितना इसको याद आ गया, देखिए फट से बता दिया। So अमृतांशु is a good movie seeker, movie watcher। हाँ, अच्छा है। So see, हाँ सही बोला अमृतांशु ने, हम दे दिल चुके सनम, ठीक है। So in that movie सलमान खान was there, ठीक है। अगर आप फैन है सलमान खान के तो पक्का आपने देखा होगा, नहीं है तो फिर देखिए, ठीक है। कुछ अच्छी मूवीज है इंडिया में भी बनी हुई। तो खैर, तो उस मूवी में दैट वाज शोन, सलमान खान हैड टू गो टू अ घराना टू लर्न द म्यूजिक, ठीक है। सो एग्जैक्टली दैट कॉन्सेप्ट वाज देयर इन इंडिया, इट इज स्टिल देयर इन इंडिया इन फैक्ट, टू लर्न द म्यूजिक। Now you can see the next difference is, of course, in Hindustani music, there's always a high dose of emotion. All right, so in northern India, Hindustani music is sung and there's a high dose of emotions, in fact, in Hindustani music. Now in Carnatic, there's more doses of intellectual and spiritual content. So it is more of intellectual and spiritual content than the emotional content. Fine. And I told you also that where it is sung, northern India and peninsular India. Fine. So ragas, of course, that is also one of the differences. Fine. Then instruments are also used in Hindustani style. That is equally very important. Like tabla, sarangi, sitar, santoor, violin, flute, they are the common instruments used in Hindustani style. Whereas in Carnatic style, veena, mridangam, mandolin are largely used in the Carnatic style. So on this basis also there are differences in the context of the music instruments that are used in those music styles in India. So ये 4-5-6 differences है जो आपको याद रखने हैं, ये यही काफी है इनफैक्ट आंसर लिखने के लिए भी, और इनफैक्ट पीटी में क्वेश्चन आता भी है तो भी इसको डिफरेंशिएट करने में भी, ठीक है। दैट इज व्हाट यू हैव टू रिमेंबर एज फार एज दिस टू स्टाइल्स आर कंसर्न, ठीक। So of course you can see here that is another slide that is also the same on the same issue. In fact, fine, that what is the difference between Hindustani and Carnatic style, and of course you have some famous artists over here playing tabla, वो तो जानते ही होंगे आप लोग सब. So that is the basic aspects of your music. Then you come to the folk music. Now see, folk music. The first and foremost, let me first of all identify what is classical music and what is folk music, and how do we differentiate it. See, when I say folk, it simply means it's a popular music. Folk indicates common man. Classical indicates a special man. Class. इसलिए क्लासिकल है वो. क्लासिकल इसलिए नहीं है कि ओल्ड है. क्लासिकल इसलिए है कि एक एलिट सेक्शन जो है वो उसको सुनता था या सुनता है. ठीक है, जैसे कि आप आईएएस बन जाइए तो आप भी एलिट हो जाइएगा. तो आपको भी जो है चाहते ना चाहते हुए भी इसी तरह के म्यूजिक में इंटरेस्ट लेना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि ऐसे ऐसे म्यूजिक इवेंट्स होंगे और आपको वहां इनवाइट किया जाएगा और आपको वहां जाना होगा क्योंकि कल्चरल प्रमोशन करना है. भले ही बोर हो रहे होंगे फिर भी आपको बैठ कर सुनना होगा और धीरे धीरे शायद आप इंटरेस्ट भी डेवलप कर लें. ठीक है, तो that is how you will change also after becoming an IAS. So exactly the things you have to understand, that when this music was sung in the court in front of the king, in front of the feudal chief, or let's say the rajas or maharajas, it used to be classical music. When it was sung by the common man on the road, in the house, on the streets, it was a folk music. All right, so therefore India has a huge cultural diversity of folk music. Vast cultural diversity of folk music. And of course, Indian folk music are also associated with some dance form, some local practices, culture, etc. Fine. That is the aspect of folk music for all of you. So I hope this idea is now clear to all of you, that what is folk music and what is. Now see, many of the folk music is also associated with the dances. Like Bhangra, of course, a folk music, but it is also a dance. Lavani, Bhangra is done in Punjab, as you know. Punjab and Haryana is known for Bhangra. Lavani is very popular in Maharashtra. Fine. Dandiya is very popular there in Gujarat. Fine. Rajasthani is equally popular in Rajasthan. So these actually are not only folk music but also associated with the dances as well. Therefore, we are taking up these two issues together, in fact. So coming to the issue of dances only, let us see dance, in fact. See, I just told you that dances, of course, happen to be also one of the earliest of the human expressions, which have also been shown through the paintings. So many of the paintings of Bhimbetka have depicted the human beings dancing with each other. So on many various occasions, these dances used to be a part of our culture, our tradition. Fine. Even today, I mean, in many of the places in India, let's say in tribal culture, on every smaller issues of their happiness, they do dance. Not only happiness, but also their sorrowness. They do also perform dance. So dance happened to be one of the most expressive way of showing human expression to the others. All right. That is actually a dance. A dance is equally, you can say, a particular practice that also gives your body, your soul, your mind a synchronization to make you a stable and a balanced person. So dance is just like yoga. So in that way, you don't need to understand it. All right. So exactly, you say the dances have also evolved right from the ancient time. Especially, we have got the very important bronze statue discovered from Mohenjo-daro. All right, and that particular Mohenjo-daro bronze statue of a dancing woman, that is very well known. All right, and if you remember that dancing woman, so if you remember that dancing woman, so in dancing woman, what was there? That of course there is a statue of a woman found in Mohenjo-daro, and that statue is depicting that woman is dancing, and that woman is actually having in one hand, she is keeping on her hip, and another hand she is actually having the entire bangles. All right. So obviously, I mean, that sort of culture you can still observe in the regions of Rajasthan and Gujarat. Rajasthan, Gujarat, अभी जाइएगा, कभी भी आप जाएंगे तो observe कीजिएगा. I mean, these are the things which you have to observe. अभी अब क्या है ना कि ये सब बहुत चीज आपको डेवलप करनी है अपने पर्सनालिटी के अंदर, कि जहां भी जा रहे हैं ना तो सिंपल खोए हुए मत जाइए, खोए हुए सोए हुए मत जाइए। ठीक है, अब खोना सोना भी जिंदगी में खत्म हो गया। अब आपको हमेशा अटेंटिव रहना है, विजिलेंट रहना है। So whenever you travel around also, you have to be always be very, very observant. So when you travel around also, you see that what kind of people, what kind of culture, what kind of dress, what kind of style that they are following, in fact. So if you go to Rajasthan and of course to the region of Gujarat, you will still find in their local culture, the women are dressing like in a similar way. All right. ठीक है, आपने देखा होगा बहुत सारे, सपोज कि मैं एग्जांपल रुदाली. Now, Rudali is another very famous form of, let's say, music and dance form there in Rajasthan and Haryana also. Fine. So, if you see the women who actually sung the song of Rudali, what kind of dress they, I mean, wear and what kind of song they sing, in fact. So, exactly, you need to understand this all actually happened to be the part of our ancient culture, which has continued in some of the other form. All right. So why the women of, let's say, one particular part of India still wears complete bangle in one hand, right from the elbow to top to the wrist, you will find that a complete hand is full of bangles. So that indicates that yes, our culture has continued. May the Harappans may have declined, but that culture of wearing the bangles in one hand completely is still continued. Vermilion. Why do women apply vermilion? So obviously, I mean, there's no text which actually support this idea of that you have to apply vermilion. But vermilion has been a part of the culture of India. So women in India have been applying vermilion after getting married. And if you see, that was there also the practice in the time of Harappa. So this is what the culture has continued. So coming back to this issue of dances, so we have also found many of the dance forms which are still continued in India has come out from Harappan time itself. All right. Then you see the textbook of Bharat Muni of Natya Shastra. That is the original source book which defined the art, dance, and music in India right from the ancient time. Fine. And then Natyasat is also called as fifth Veda because it actually has given us the description about various forms of dance, music, and the theater also, in fact. Drama also, in fact. So Samved, I told you already, the Samved is another very important textbook for music. So that is the dance. Now, the most remarkable dance form in India happened to be the Nataraja Tandav dance. We'll talk about that. Nataraja Tandav dance, why I'm talking about, because it has already been asked by UPSC as a question there in the mains examination. All right. The question was that what does it signify? Fine. So see this Nataraja Tandav dance sculpture. Now this particular sculpture which has been discovered in southern part of India, I mean in good number, right from in the idol shape, also the part of the temple architecture. So this sculpture has been discovered in southern part of India in good number in almost many of the temples which have been known for the worshipping of Lord Shiva. All right. And this particular trend of depicting Lord Shiva in the form of Lord Nataraja started from the Pallava times. So Pallavas were the first who introduced the idols of Lord Nataraja in India. And by the time when Cholas came, it attained the pinnacle of this art when Chola started constructing the bronze statue of Lord Nataraja. All right. So Pallavas started this practice of constructing the idols in the form of bronze of Lord Nataraj. But in the time of Chola, it got its pinnacle, it achieved its pinnacle. The finest form of Lord Nataraja idols have been found from the Chola period. This question will be asked to you, and it can be asked to you, that in which period these Lord Nataraja idols were introduced in India. Fine. Now see, I mean, one more thing I would like to mention over here. I've been told by one of my students who is a proficient dancer from South India. He told me that Lord Nataraja idols are not kept in any person's home like the way we keep any idols in our home. I said, why? Then he told me the reason. He told me that this particular idols are kept only by the proficient dancers, not by the ordinary people, the way we keep idols in our house. Fine. So that is what actually is the idea about Lord Nataraja. So I was telling to all of you was that Lord Nataraja happened to be the most important dance form, which actually represents Lord Shiva. All right. And it also has given a shape to the iconography that got developed in India, in fact. Fine. Iconography means the art of making idols. Art of making idols.
सर
Hmm.
सर एक बार पिछले स्लाइड मिलेंगे सर ये शिव जी इसमें तांडव कर रहे हैं
हाँ, it's a Tanda
सर
form.
सर किसके ऊपर खड़े हुए हैं कुछ
ये that is Kuber. Kuber is there. Just coming in 1 minute. Fine. So again, let me start the discussion. So as I was discussing with all of you that this is how the dance form actually has evolved, and it actually raised to its pinnacle by the time of the Chola period. Fine. And that is how we see our dance form. But by the time when we attend independence, by this time, in the government of India has declared there are certain classical dances in India, especially that is mentioned on your screen itself. So you have the classical dances currently in our country, that is Bharatanatyam, Kathakali, Kathak, Manipuri, Kuchipudi, Odissi. See, Bharatanatyam is a classical dance which is very popular and well known in India from Tamil Nadu. All right, and one thing that I would like to mention about Bharatanatyam is that Bharatanatyam is a dance that actually has evolved with the practice of Devadasi system in India. Now, see, Devadasi system happened to be one of the, I would say, the evil practices out of the ancient Indian, you can say the rituals or the traditions in our country. It actually evolved by the time of the 7th century CE or AD, in fact, in our country, in many of the temples where the women were women were actually given up into the temples for the work for doing certain works inside the temple and also performing dances inside temple. So the Devdasi system was nothing; it was basically women performing dances inside the temple. That is the practice of Devdasi. So from Devdasi only, this particular Bharatnatyam practice has also emerged. Fine. So the root of this, of course, has come from Tamil Nadu. All right. And then, of course, the other forms of dance, like let's say Kathakali. Now, Kathakali is also very famous dance from Kerala. Fine. And not only Kathakali, but also in Kerala, we have the other dance form that is Moniattam. So Moniattam is also a dance form from Kerala, which is equally very popular. All right. And then you have Kathak from North India, especially from UP region. Kathak has emerged. All right, Uttar Pradesh, in fact. Then you have Manipuri, that is also very popular in Manipur. Kuchipudi is equally popular because it actually has emerged from one of the villages of Andhra Pradesh. All right, so that is Kuchipudi. And then you have Odissi, equally, that is another classical dance in India from Odisha. So these are the very famous dance forms that is well known, in fact, in our country. So I'm showing you the other slide that will give you the more idea about it. So let's say Kathakali. Now, Kathakali, of course, I just told you that it actually has emerged in Kerala, and the ritual performing arts of Kodiyattam, Krishnattam, Ramanattam. So these all actually have influenced on this dance, basically. All right, that is the another very important information for all of you. Now, this Kathakali also has a mix of a blend of dance, music, and acting all together. Fine, that is the Kathakali. Then it also has the facial expressions or hasta mudras, which are very much typical. You can see on your screen. This is the facial expression that is also shown in Kathakali dance form. All right. So that is how the different rasas of dances are shown through in the Kathakali dance form very clearly. I mean, every form that your emotions are depicted through dance form, that is another very important practice in Kathakali as well. Fine. Then I told you about, of course, Bharatanatyam also. Bharatanatyam, of course, it has evolved from Devadasi system, and the earliest literary reference of Bharatanatyam has been found in Silpadikaram. This question can be asked in prelims. The earliest of the literary references has been found in Silpadikaram. What is Silpadikaram? Silpadikaram happens to be one of the Sangam texts. See, there are list of Sangam texts, and out of those Sangam texts, there are two Sangam texts which are called as epics of South India, just like Ramayana and Mahabharata of North India in that way. So Silpadikaram and Mani Mekhlai are the two epics of Sangam era. Mani Mekhlai, Mani Mekhlai, Mani Mekhlai, Mani Mekhlai, Mani Mekhlai. So Silpadikaram and Mani Mekhlai are the two of the greatest of epics of Sangam era of South India. Okay. Now this particular dance form, it has found its one of the earliest literary references from Silpadikaram. Fine. Now in this particular dance form, it also resembles a dance with all the various emotions as well. It also includes the Tandav and the Lasya part. That is, Tandav is basically the aggressive part. Las is basically the emotional part of the dance form. That is basically shown in this particular dance form. Okay. And in many of the temples, especially on Gopurams of many temples like Chidambaram temple in Tamil Nadu, you will find that Bharatanatyam poses have also been depicted, have also been shown in the form of this sculpture. Fine. That is another importance of this particular dance form. Fine. And of course, it also includes musicians like vocalists, veena players, flautist, cymbal player. So these are all the vocalists, I mean, music instruments that are used in this particular dance form. Then you have Kathak. Of course, Kathak is popular. I just told you in the North India. All right, and it is also a depiction of a story through dance form. So basically, in Kathak, you also involve drama as well. That is another importance of Kathak. Kathak is not only a dance form; it also includes drama because it actually through dance you also show some of the stories that is primarily based upon the god, in fact the almighty, the divine worshipping, in fact. So either Ram is in the theme, the Krishna, god Krishna is a theme. So these are the themes of the dance form of Kathak, and it is also a dance form that actually evolved due to bhakti movement. So Bhakti movement, of course, in the early medieval period, there only the Kathak form of dance evolved. And at the same time, of course, the Bhakti period and Sufi period is almost contemporary. And you see, during the time of Bhakti period only, there was influence of the Arabic and Persian in starting increasing in India. So Kathak also evolved in the Mughals court. In the Mughal court, it actually developed a lot. Fine. So Mughal provided the protection to Kathak dance. And Birju Maharaj is one of the most famous Kathak dancer, not only in India but across the world. All right. So these are the information regarding Kathak dance. Now, Manipuri. Now, Manipuri is equally another very famous dance form. It is also a form of classical dance. Of course, it is done in Manipur. That is one thing you have to understand. Secondly, it gives the references about the dances of Shiva and Parvati. So Manipuri dance is another dance which also depicts about the influence of Hinduism in northeastern India. All right. So even in northeastern India, to the extent of Manipur, the Hinduism actually had already reached in India. All right. It is said that Vaishnavism, of course, the part of Bhakti movement only, Vaishnavism entered into entire northeastern India by the 15th century AD itself. All right. And the theme of Radha Krishna, theme of Shiva Parvati were introduced in these areas. So at that particular point of time only, this Manipuri dance form actually got emerged. Fine. And in Manipuri dance, there's also practice of, you can say, Ras Leela dances. Ras Leela is based upon Radha Krishna theme. So Ras Leela dance is also done as a part of Manipur dance only, and it was originated under King Bhagya Chandra, who was the king of Manipur in early medieval time. All right. So King Bhagya Chandra was a person who supported Ras Leela, a subtype of Manipuri out there in Manipur. Now, out of Manipuri dancing only, you see the emergence of also Thangta. Now, Thangta is another very famous dance that is also a part of martial art. All right, so Thangta is also not only a dance but equally a martial art. So it is basically a martial dance. Fine. So martial art that is actually developed out of the defense system, or to develop a defense system of a particular community. So earlier there was, of course, always a threat of the attack of the foreigners, attack of the, let's say, the other rulers. So because of that, only the people out there, they started developing their own defense system. So due to that, only the emergence of martial art actually evolved in India. So with this defense system, it also developed into a particular, you can say, the style of performance of your bodily gestures and postures, which actually developed in a systematic style in the form of the martial art. So Thangta is equally a martial art which has derived from Manipuri dance form. All right. So you can see even through dance form, some martial arts has also emerged in India. That is another very important aspect of the dance form in India. And now you can see on the screen some of the very popular martial arts in India. Now, Kalaripayattu. This martial art has already been asked by UPSC in 2016 prelims examination. And I believe that in last couple of years in the Hindu newspaper, this martial art has been covered widely by the Hindu newspaper. All right. So Kalaripayattu is a martial art of Kerala in the Malabar region. Fine. And it is considered as one of the oldest existing martial art in the world. Fine. So Kalaripayattu is basically a combination of two words, Kalari and Pattu. So Kalari is basically a school or training place where you provide the learning or training of martial art. Pattu is basically the style of learning, the style of art, the strikes, kicks, or some weapon that is used in that. So the footwork pattern are most important key in Kalaripayattu. That's what actually is the idea of Kalaripayattu. Fine. So that is how Kalaripayattu is equally a very famous martial art from South India, especially from Kerala. Okay. Then you have next martial art, that is Silambam. Now, Silambam is equally a weapon-based Indian martial art. Fine. So these informations are important for all of you. Now, see, Kalaripayattu was equally a weapon-based martial art. Silambam is equally a weapon-based martial art, and it is from Tamil Nadu. Fine. Now, Silambam art uses animal movements of snake, tiger, eagle forms, footwork patterns. These all actually are another features of Silambam art. But Silambam art is important for all of you in the context of that which all martial arts actually have weapon-based martial art in India. So Silambam is another example of weapon-based martial art from Tamil Nadu. Then you have Gatka. Now Gatka is another weapon-based Indian martial art practiced among the Sikhs of Punjab. Fine. And it is now very famous because of the Sikhs of Punjab also performed some Gatka in front of the Red Fort recently. All right. So you must be knowing about that also. So of course, so that is Gatka. So they have performed Gatka, and now today they are facing the Jhatka from the government. so everyone is now being arrested gradually, and they have been put behind the bar. So all of them were recorded very properly, and they were allowed to do Gatka, all right, on that day. But now they all are now running away from the government, from the police force. So that is a situation of this Gatka today. All right. So idea is, of course, they took the government so lightly, thought of the government is not there. Government is watching them very closely, letting them do whatever they wanted to do on that day, so that there should not be any violence, there should not be any untoward action or this untoward incident took place on that day. But they were miscalculating the government, you can say, strength. So now see, this is how the Gatka is another very famous art. Then you have another famous, you can say, the martial arts like Mushti Yudh. Now, Mushti Yudh is another famous martial art that is in Varanasi, but it is unarmed martial art. So Mushti Yudh is unarmed martial art of Varanasi. Fine. And here basically the punch, kick, knees, elbow strikes that are basically followed in this particular martial art of Mushti Yudh. Then you have Thang Ta. Just now we have discussed about Thang Ta. So it's a popular term for ancient Manipuri martial art. Fine. And this question has already been asked by UPSC in terms of match the following martial arts and their areas of origin. So Thang Ta is equally a very famous martial art, and that has originated in Manipur. Fine. That is what you have to remember. And Thang Ta is equally a weapon-based martial art, in fact. Fine. Because this particular Thang Ta is named after the system means weapon. So the weapon that they use, that is sword, that is called as Thang. And Ta is spear. So sword and spear are used in Thang Ta. तलवार और भाला यूज करते हैं थांगटा में. So that is what actually is a Thangta martial art in Manipur. Fine. Lathi is another form of armed martial art of ancient India. Right, it was practiced in Punjab and Bengal region of India. That is Lathi. Fine. So it is known. Then you have Mardani Khel, another martial art. This Mardani Khel is a martial art, especially in Maratha, in fact, in Maharashtra. So it is a traditional art of Maharashtra practiced in Kolhapur. So Mardani Khel is equally an armed method of martial art. Fine. Then you have next Parikhanda. Now Parikhanda is another very typical martial art that is very few people know about it. That it is a style of sword that is used in Parikhanda, sword and shield both in Bihar. सो दे यूज तलवार और जो कहते हैं सिल्ट जो होता है दोनों को यूज करते हैं और उसके थ्रू दे परफॉर्म दिस पर्टिकुलर मार्शल आर्ट इट इज पॉपुलर अमंग द राजपूत्स ऑफ बिहार सो परी खंडा स्टेप्स एंड टेक्निक्स आल्सो यूज्ड इन छौ डांस सो छौ डांस व्हिच इज आल्सो पॉपुलर इन बिहार एंड झारखंड इवन इन ओडिशा so this is a chau dance which also uses the steps of parikhanda martial art fine. So you can see this is how the martial arts have also evolved out of the dance form in India. Fine. So these all names and their locations are important. So two things you have to remember. These names, the areas of origin, and third, that what is the instrument of their performance. What all tools they use while performing these martial arts. Whether you use arms, whether you don't use any arms, that's what you have to remember, in fact, in these all names of the martial arts. Kalaria Pattu has already been asked. I just told you in 2016 prelims examination itself. All right, and in the Hindu, I told you it has widely been covered. Complete full page. Just beside the page of your editorial page, entire page was on Kalaria Pattu only, covered in Hindu. Fine. So that is what actually was the issue. Then coming to the theater or drama, that's the last part of our discussion. See, theater or drama is, I just told you, it is as old as the music and dance. All right. And any theater drama can't be completed, in fact, without having music and dance into that. So theater and drama is always understood along with music, dance, recitation, all right, poetry, dialogues, all right. These are the important aspects of any theater or drama. Fine. Now, the earliest of the evidences of theater and drama that was organized, in fact, in India in ancient time, it was in Sariputra Prakram, book of Aswaghosh. The Aswaghosh book, that is Sariputra Prakram, is considered as one of the most ancient, you can say, textbooks on the aspect of theater or drama. It was written in drama only. Similarly, another famous drama which actually has been still recognized as the most, you can say, the chaste drama, that is of course of Kalidas Abhigyan Sakuntalam. So Kalidas Abhigyan Sakuntalam happened to be the most purest form of drama written in pure Sanskrit. All right. So Abhigyan Sakuntalam is one of those books, and of course Kalidas has written various dramas in his writings, especially like you can say Malavika Agni Mitram, Vikramo Varvasyam, Avigyan Sakuntalam. So these all happen to be the famous plays of Kalidas. Now, as far as Malvika Agnimitram, this particular textbook he wrote especially upon the story of Agnimitra, the son of Pushyamitra Sunga. So it was written on Sunga or a Sunga dynasty, in fact. All right. Then Vikrama Suryavyam is written on Chandragupta Vikramaditya. All right. Then Abhigyan Sakuntalam was written on the story of the origin of the word called Bharat. Fine. So Sakuntala and Dushyant love story. So of course, Abhigyan Sakuntalam is written about another love story that is based upon this particular theme, and then it also became quite popular across the country, across the world also today. The rest, of course, the books written by Bhasya, Sapna Vasab Dattam, Sudrak, Vrishkatikam on Charudat, Mudra Rakshas, Devi Chandra Guptam, Visakhadat. They are very famous books written on drama. These books can be asked even as a question there in prelims. कि कौन सा बुक कौन लिखा था। जैसे कि प्रीलिम्स से पूछा था यूपीएससी ने 2015 या 16 के प्रीलिम्स में ही कि मालविका अग्निमित्रम का थीम क्या था। द क्वेश्चन वाज व्हाट वाज द थीम ऑफ मालविका अग्निमित्रम रिटन बाय कालिदास। So now I've just told you it was written on Sunga dynasty, son of Pushyamitra Sung on Agnimitra. All right. So this question was already asked, in fact. So exactly the other questions can also be asked to you, that Mudra Rakshas and Devi Chandra Guptam. Now Mudra Rakshas is a very important source, very, very important source to construct or reconstruct the history of the Mauryas. All right. So written by Visakha Dutt. Fine. Similarly, Devi Chandra Guptam is another very important source to reconstruct the history of early Guptas. So Devi Chandra Guptam, it also is a very important source to understand the early history of Guptas and the Shaka's invasions and the problem of Saka invasion for the early Guptas. All right. So it was written on the story of the brother of Chandragupta, Ramagupt. So it was written on the issue of Ramagupt, that is Devi Chandra Guptam. Similarly, I just told you Mricha Katikam written on Charudat and Vasav Datta's love story. All right. So that is Mricha Katikam. Then Swapna Vasav Dattam, again the same story, Charudat and Vasav Datta, written by Bhasya. Fine. Sariput Prakaram, written by Asva Ghosh. It is upon the Buddha life story. All right. So that is Sariputra Prakaram of Asva Ghosh. So these books are important and their themes are always important for you. Now you see another very important information, especially in the context of another very famous play written by Mahendra Varman, a great Pallava king, in the form of Mattyavilas Parahans. Now Mattyavilas Parahans can also be asked you as a question. Why? Because in optional this question has already been asked when we were writing our prelims. हमारे समय में ऑप्शनल प्रीलिम्स में सब्जेक्ट लेना पड़ता था, ऑप्शनल भी होता था प्रीलिम्स के पेपर में. Alright, so of course this question used to be very famous during those time. So Mattyavilas Parahans, written by Mahendra Varman, of course one of the greatest of Pallava kings. So he wrote this particular book in Sanskrit. That's one thing. Secondly, it was a satire upon the Kapalikas and Pasupat cult. The question was frequently asked by UPSC that what was the theme of Mattyavilas Parahans? So it was satire upon the Kapalikas and Pasupat cult, that is the sects of Saivism. Okay. So that is the aspect of this particular, of course, drama, because it was also a drama. Fine. Then we see the emergence of even the folk theatre. Folk theatre also had emerged in different parts of India, and with the folk theatre also the puppet theatre, puppet shows, that is also called as shadow theatre. So puppet shows are also called as shadow theatre. So if question is asked to you what is that, which is example of shadow theatre, so remember it is puppet show. So puppet show also emerged as shadow theatre. And then by the time we entered into the Mughal period and the early modern period, the writings of Bhartendu Harishchandra became, of course, famous in India in the context of writing the Hindi theatres, because Bhartendu Harishchandra is also known for, and also known as, in fact, the father of Hindi theatre in India. All right, Bhartendu Harishchandra. And then even Rabindranath Tagore's plays are also another examples of the theatres started in India. Then you see the examples of some folk theatres. This question can be asked to you. Now, this all folk theatres are important. See, these folk theatres like Ras Leela, Nautanki, Ram Leela, now these all happen to be very popular there in UP, in North India. We all know. Now, besides that, There are other folk theatres as well which are equally popular. Kudiyattam. Now, Kudiyattam is another very famous folk theatre that is practiced there in Kerala. Fine. So these names are very important for all of you. So simply note it down, all these names and their place. So Kudiyattam is a very famous folk theatre that is practiced in Kerala. Second one is Yakshagan, very popular, very famous, and asked by UPSC at least I would say more than 2 to 3 times, in fact. Yakshagan. Now Yakshagan, why? Because it is a folk theatre of Karnataka, and it was highly developed under the Vijayanagar Empire. So the Vijayanagar kings, they provided huge support to this popular Yakshagan. That was a type of folk theatre out there in Karnataka. So that is the importance of this Yakshagan as a folk theatre. So it is not only theatre but also a dance form, a folk dance out there in Karnataka. Then you see Swang. Now what is Swang? Swang is another folk theatre which is popular in Haryana, Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh. Fine. So another important thing for all of you that Swang is a popular folk theatre in 3 states, Haryana, Rajasthan and UP. All right. Then Band Pather. ये पूछा था यूपीएससी ने 2017 के प्रीलिम्स में, ये बंद पाथेर कहाँ का फोक डांस है, फोक थिएटर है. So Band Pather is actually a folk theatre of Kashmir, and just told you it is another combination of dance, music and acting together. Therefore we are discussing it as a part of folk theatre. So it is a combination of dance, music and acting together. All right, and definitely it is also done on the mythological legends there in Kashmir. So that is the importance of Band Pather in Kashmir. Then you have Ankiya Nat Bhavna. Now Ankiya Nat Bhavna is another very popular dance form. It is basically practiced in Assam. So Ankiya Nat Bhavna is practiced in rural Assam. You can see on your screen. All right. So in rural Assam, Ankiya Nat Bhavna is practiced. Fine. So that is one thing if you remember. Again, centered on the Hindu deity Lord Krishna. Then you have Tamasa, another famous folk theatre of Maharashtra, quite popular also. It got originated during time of the Maratha rulers only. That is the Tamasa. Fine. Then you have Therukuthu. Now Therukuthu is another folk theatre that is popular in Tamil Nadu. All right, and it's a street theatre only in Tamil Nadu, and of course this is equally very important because it can also be asked you as a question there in prelims. Therukuthu is of course is a folk theatre, especially practiced in Tamil Nadu. Then you have Jatra. Now Jatra is popular in Odisha and Eastern Bihar. It got originated in Bengal as a result of Bhakti movement. Fine, because Jatra is basically the common movement. So Bhakti movement, common movement of people, in fact. So during the Bhakti movement, due to the contribution of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this particular Jatra practice or Jatra folk dance also got evolved therein. Of course, in Bengal, and finally it became popular also in Odisha and Eastern Bihar. Fine. So Jatra is important in that way. Then you have Bhavai. Bhavai is popular in Gujarat, already in Kutch and Kathiawar region. Fine, that is Bhavai. So that is another important development for all of you. Then you have next one, Dasavatar. Now Dasavatar is equally popular in Konkan coast of Goa. So Dasavatar is popular in Goa. This question can be asked to you. Remember this, another very important information for all of you. Because Dasavatar appears to be a famous folk theatre, especially in North India. Maybe UP, maybe Bihar, maybe Rajasthan, maybe Madhya Pradesh. But it's not like that. It is of course, in Goa, in Konkan coast. So it is again on the theme of the avatar of Lord Vishnu. All right, so various avatars, Lord Vishnus are depicted in Dasavatar's folk theatre dance form in fact. ठीक है, that is Dasavatar. Then you have Karyala. Karyala is another folk theatre from Himachal Pradesh. ठीक है, so it is done during time of performed during time of Dasara festival there in Himachal Pradesh. Karyala. ठीक है. Then you have Ramman. Ramman is another popular folk theatre of Uttarakhand. So Karyala in Himachal, Ramman in Uttarakhand. So you have to make a list of all these names, all right, and you have to stick it somewhere in front of your study table, chair, ताकि आप हमेशा इसको देखते रहे या आप भूले नहीं. In fact, so Ramman is a ritual theatre that is performed there in Garhwal area of Uttarakhand. That is Ramman. And then you have the last one, Satariya. Satariya has already been asked by UPSC in prelims. All right, Satariya is another dance form, dance drama both, in fact, and it was introduced in India or rather in the area of Assam, particularly during the time of the in fact, Bhakti movement. Fine. So in the 15th century, this particular Satariya dance form actually evolved. It is a major Indian classical dance also. So Satariya has also been recognized as a classical dance. So you have to remember this. The classical dance is not only limited to what we have discussed till now. So one of the classical dance which has added recently was also Satariya. So Satariya has been given the status of classical dance and it is a dance drama performance. The idea is if the government offers any dance as a classical dance status, the government offers them even the financial help and as well as the institutional help to develop that dance form. We have Sangeet Natak Academy in India, which is supposed to look after all these dance form, to promote this dance form. So they develop even the universities, the institutions in those areas to make it as an organized dance form. So that is the meaning of recognition being given to these forms as classical dances in India. Okay. So Satariya dance form is also now been recognized as one of the Indian classical dances along with other dances that we have just discussed. So therefore this question was asked in UPSC prelims in I think 2016 only. उसी समय इसको दिया गया था डांस का स्टेटस, क्लासिकल डांस का स्टेटस. So that is how Satariya dance has to be remembered. Fine. It was a part of the Neo-Vaishnavite culture that developed in Assam, and through that only Satariya dance also developed. Fine. So Shankar Dev was instrumental in promoting this particular dance form. So Mahapurush Shankar Dev was another very famous Vaishnavite saint of Bhakti movement in Assam. So he was instrumental in promoting this particular form of Satariya dance form. All right. So Satariya also developed as a dance and drama form in India. Fine. And Satariya dance always have also the influence of many of the folk dances of Assam like Bihu, Bodos, etc. That is Satariya dance. Fine. So see, these informations are important, and from these informations, largely the questions which have been asked mainly in prelims examination. ठीक है, तो आपको इसी का एक लिस्ट बना के रखना है. Fine. So we have discussed all the dance form also. So music, dance, and drama. We have discussed the three aspects today. We are left with only architecture and sculpture. All right. That we'll do either tomorrow or maybe on Monday. Fine. So I'll let you know by tomorrow itself. Now, tomorrow, Saturday is Saturday. So tomorrow I will be sharing you one set of question paper that is of mains for history. And on Sunday, I will be sharing with you the prelims question paper of history. अब जितना जिसकी तैयारी जितनी हुई है उसके ऊपर आपको लिखना है, लिख लीजिए, नहीं लिखना है तो उसको रखिए, जब तैयारी होगी तब लिख लीजिएगा. लेकिन मैं पेपर आपको कल परसों दोनों शेयर कर रहा हूँ ताकि फिर हम अगले टेस्ट के अंदर चले जाएं. ठीक है, टेस्ट अपना पैरेलल चलता रहेगा, क्लासेस जो चल रही है वो चलती रहेंगे अपने अपने स्पीड पे. ठीक है. सो विद दिस, if you have any query, you can ask. Otherwise, we can conclude the class and we can meet, of course, maybe on Monday or maybe tomorrow, depending upon my other engagement. So I'll let you know. ठीक है. But paper मैं आपको कल शेयर कर दूंगा मेंस वाला. ठीक है. Then I'll conclude the class today. See you again. ठीक है. If you have any question, you can raise. Then we can conclude the class. हाँ, कुछ पूछना है? ठीक है, तो चलिए फिर आप लोग जितना तैयारी हुआ है उसमें आप पेपर लिखना चाहते हैं लिखिए। कल हिस्ट्री वाला मेंस का पेपर मैं भेज दूंगा। जैसा समझाया था कि डाउनलोड कर लेना है, डाउनलोड करने के बाद पेपर उसी पैटर्न पे लिखना है, ठीक है, उसी क्वेश्चन के नीचे लिखना है सारे आंसर्स। और कोशिश कीजिए कि आप उसको फिर अपलोड करके मुझे भेज दीजिए, स्कैन करके सारे आंसर्स वो भेज दीजिए, ठीक है, मैं चेक करके बता दूंगा। फाइन, ठीक है, देन सी यू देन अगेन, बाय बाय, हाँ, टेक केयर।
थैंक यू सर।
थैंक यू सर।